Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And this is our non-spoiler review for Scrambled. Perpetual bridesmaid Nellie Robinson always finds herself between weddings, baby showers, and bad dates. With her biological clock ticking, she decides to freeze her eggs and embark on an empowering journey of self-discovery. Truth to be told, I didn't know much about this movie ahead of going into tonight's screening. It is I don't know, should we call it, do we call it a dramedy, or is it just under comedy?
You know, it really does fit more under comedy, but there is some good drama behind it because it is the lead actress, director, and writer of this movie, writing about her own personal experience with a very heavy comedy hand.
Yes.
It's definitely one of those movies that you sit down and you laugh at all of the struggle she's going through, but it's not really like hardcore slapstick.
Yes.
But there are, I'm not the prime demographic for this movie.
No, that's me.
That's Wendy and a lot of the ladies that were in this theater. I saw a lot of them coming out because it really did speak to that age group. So it is very much kind of like a midlife crisis. Not midlife crisis.
No, it's not a midlife crisis, but it is kind of against, you putting a character up against their quote-unquote biological clock ticking, everybody reminding her that your clock is ticking, and the societal pressure of like, but when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have a boyfriend? Why are you still single? And then also at the same time, as we said earlier in the kind of synopsis of the movie, she's a perpetual bridesmaid, never a bride, right? And it's just, you know, you're kind of going through this time, like you watch the people you grew up with or graduated with, and they're having weddings, they're having babies, and etc. And like I would say, like you and I kind of went through the same thing, like, you know, kind of around the time we got married. And then, you know, before and after, we were getting a lot of weddings. And there was a period of time we were going to a lot of weddings and going to a lot of baby showers.
Oh, yeah. And it really does speak to that specific age demographic of millennials that are definitely going through that time of, oh my God, my parents at this time of their, when they were this old, they had this and this and this. They had a family. Her mom had moved from where she was. She immigrated from somewhere,
yeah.
Learned how to learned English, went to nursing school, fell in love, had a family, had 2 kids, and the lead character in this is just like, I'm having a hard time just paying rent. And there's a lot of people, us included. It's so
relatable.
It's so relatable. That is something that this movie really nails very, very well. Not only is the comedy done very well, but it just makes it so you're just going, oh my gosh, either I'm about to go through this, or I remember when I went through this struggle in my life, to where you're just like, that nothing's turning out the way that I wanted to.
Yeah, I think it's kind of watching Nellie experience through all of this. In the movie, it's unlocking your own either like anticipation and maybe a little anxiety of going in through this period of her life, or looking back and kind of going, yeah, I understand the struggle because I've been there. So there's several things that go on in this movie. Obviously, it kind of starts off with like the always a bridesmaid, never a bride situation, and then being asked like, but where are my grandkids? And how come you're still single? And what about this person that she broke up with? And what was smart about this movie is that they kind of, you know, place this hook in like, who is the ex? What happened there?
Yes, they did do that very well.
And then they kind of looped it back later on. It was like a really great, like, you know, full circle moment. Not in a happiest way, but I liked the way that they played it and the way she wrote it. Leah McKendrick did a really good job with it. But it's also of like realizing that, yeah, her clock could be running out. And she's seeing all her friends getting married. Obviously, she's not dating anybody, so it's not like she can go and get married tomorrow and have a kid tomorrow. Like, those things, especially having a kid and being pregnant, takes time. So she starts looking into the process of freezing her eggs. And one of the eye-opening things about that part for me was that I never realized the process to be so tedious. Like, I imagined it to be like you go into the doctor once or a couple of times for like consultation, and then whatever starts you off, and then you just like come back later for the procedure. Like, they start you off and then you come back, and that's kind of it. I did not realize that they sent you home with essentially like a schedule and a bunch of vials that you have to give yourself the injections plus the trigger shot that essentially is right before the main procedure of extracting your eggs. And like at a specific time, and if you miss that, then all those injections that you have done, all the money you've paid goes down the drain because it's not going to work.
And just how expensive it was. I think they mentioned the price of like $8,000, but then somewhere
to $13,000.
It's a 13, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is one thing that this movie did very well, was open up your eyes to something that you know about, that you've heard about, but to develop and go, oh, I did not know it was that intensive, that expensive, that much of a thing to do, to where it was so many steps. And they did a good job on showing the process, but not really dwelling on the process. They used it as an emphasis on these big points, to where when she was going out on dates and it went horribly wrong, she would come back and have to do all of her injections and her drugs and take her
vitamins and prenatals
and yet
stuff,
do it all alone. And
yes.
that is something that hit very well. It's just the struggle of being alone, to where she comes home to an empty house. It's not the cleanest. She's not like a complete mess.
No, she's not. She's human.
She's definitely does not have, you know, what you would consider the American dream, or the white picket fence, which we've been told about ever since we were kids.
Yeah, she doesn't have an executive position or anything like that. Like, she's grinding it as a Etsy like small business, which like I love that for her, like creatively, but it's also frustrating when it comes to the time that you really need money. This movie also touches on the relationship between her and her parents. Her mom is pretty understanding. Her and her brother butt heads, but in like a very sibling kind of a way. Yeah. But you could tell that there's love there. Like, that's what you could see with as much of bickering there was, you could see that there is first and foremost love, with the exception of she's got a very strained relationship with her dad, played by Clancy Brown. And even for them, there's some sort of understanding that comes out of everything eventually, but it took work to get there. And I loved seeing the process of that, like watching her kind of struggle through her process with freezing her eggs, and her mom being understanding, her brother, it's like trying to come around and trying to be supportive in his like weird sibling way. And then the dad's just like, why you gotta do it this way? Just be natural about it. This is weird. And just not really supporting her in any way. And how much that, even though she blows him off a lot of the times, blow off the comments, you could tell that it hurts her. Those comments hurt. So I like that it touches on all of those things. It touches on the dates, the one that didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? And
the one who got away,
right?
And the one, what is it? The Peter Pan syndrome boy. They had all of the cliches of all the different guys, all the different kinds of people that you've dated in your life. I wish they would have spent a little bit more time on developing the relationship between the daughter and father.
Yes,
a little bit more, because it really did kind of seem at the end, yay, the whole thing's resolved, and it got resolved a little quickly. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more built, especially between the father and the mother.
Yeah, that I would have liked to see that too. But overall, I thought the writing was very clever, very real, very relatable. I think, ladies, you're gonna have like your emotions, especially if you're in this like specific age demographic. Like, it's gonna hit you. Certain moments are gonna hit you when you least expect it. And what's good is that they don't make it so like dramatic where you're like, oh, okay. Like, it's just the way it happens is quite natural, and then they handle the more heavy part with a good amount of comedy where they're not throwing it away. They're still looking at it in its face, but they make it a little bit more lighthearted so you can kind of laugh along with it. I thought for her directorial debut, which I believe this was, she did a really fantastic job. And I gotta say, for our rating, which is listed for you in the video description below. It's a little bit different. It's not like letters or numbers. I gotta say, this is a check it out for me.
I really enjoyed this. I really kind of caught me off guard. I was not expecting this to be as good as it was, but also the fact that it is written, directed, starring, and about the writer, director, actor's personal experience. It hit pretty well. So I'm going to give it a matinee.
There you go, guys. That is our thoughts on the movie Scrambled, which is in theaters on February 2nd. So if you have the chance, take a look, check it out. Maybe bring tissues. You could or could not need it. Depends. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.